I got for Rotary, which I messed up yesterday when I was filming for the Rotary meeting. But today, I'd like to talk about personal financial management. A reporter asked me yesterday about this app called Earn It, which is pretty much a payday lender application. And he was saying, isn't this getting people into more financial trouble? And I thought to myself, I never really had that talk with my kids about personal financial management. When you're young, you tend to think about nothing but cash flow. You go in to buy a car, what's your payment? That's what you're concerned about. But what you really should be concerned about throughout your life is balance sheet management, wealth creation. On a balance sheet, you have assets on one side, liability and net worth on the other side. Your liabilities and your net worth equal your assets. So what your life should be about in terms of financial balance sheets is maximizing your assets while minimizing your liabilities. And this is why things like expensive car purchases make 0 sense. Think about the expensive car purchase. You take, let's say you have the money and you don't take a loan out for the car. You spend $35,000, you take $35,000 out of your assets in cash, which is probably earning interest or might be in investments and is an appreciating asset. Then you go and buy a vehicle that is $35,000 the day you bought it, but continues to depreciate in a skyrocketing, plummeting fashion the day after you purchase it. So in terms of wealth management, purchasing an automobile makes very little sense because you're putting a depreciating asset on your books. And if you're paying it with cash, you're taking an appreciating asset and you're putting on a depreciating asset. So the key for cars is to minimize the amount of money you spend. The best balance sheet car I ever bought cost $1,500 and I drove it for 2 years without major repair. And I sold it for a tax write-off. So I know you need a vehicle to get around, but it makes no sense from a wealth creation or a balance sheet management strategy to go out and buy nice cars that might make you feel good about yourself, or it's important for you to look good to other people. Get yourself a hoopty. The key is to not borrow money to buy cars. One way to get out of that terrible cycle is you buy a car, you get a 5-year loan, but you drive it for 10 years and you continue to make payments into an account during those 5 years where you don't owe a payment, and then you put that down as a larger deposit on your next car till soon you're out of the cycle of having to borrow money. In other words, put a liability on your books to finance a depreciating asset. That's a personal finance. But I know when you get out of college, the first thing you want to do is go out and buy yourself a car, which makes very little sense. So what you want to do is you want to focus on, when you buy assets for your balance sheet, make sure those assets are appreciating. There's also another balance sheet though. There's an intangible balance sheet that's off to your right, which is really your happiness balance sheet. And what you want to do is fill your happiness balance sheet with things that you enjoy, will cause great memories, not necessarily material things or widgets, right? Go on a nice vacation. So you're taking an asset out of your financial balance sheet and transferring it over to an asset on your well-being balance sheet. So the well-being thing that you spend it on should over time be worth more than your financial balance sheet. So remember, put appreciating financial assets on your personal financial balance sheet, such as a home, because a home over long periods of time appreciates in value. And even though you'll have a loan as a liability on that home, every payment you make reduces the loan, so there's a reduction in the liability and an appreciation of the asset. So a home is a good asset to put on your balance sheet, whereas a car or jewelry or anything that depreciates quickly is not. something good to put on your personal financial balance sheet. So focus on building up that net worth. The way to build up net worth on your balance sheet is to reduce your liabilities, i.e. your loans, or increase your assets with appreciating assets. That's all I got. First Adirondack Chair Talk.